I've helped my clients that have had challenges having orgasms, women that were not able to have orgasms with their partner to be able to experience that or to become multi-orgasmic, males that they've had ED or PE. Would it not make sense to go back into the very energy and connect to the energy that really brought you into life? And it's so wild that in our society, in our world, that we have shame around this energy, on these outer things, and we neglect our inner world. And then we realize that we're not as happy, even if Jim Carrey will say, I wish people would know if they had $1 million, that's not going to be the thing that makes them happy. It's cultivating the inner mantra that there's so much more pleasure that my body was able to experience more than just scratch the surface, like deep down into like healing levels of pleasure and bliss.
In the coming episode, I speak with Dominique D'Vita. Dominique is a distinguished transformational Tantra coach, accomplished registered nurse, and expert healer. She combines her clinical background with holistic wisdom to create profound, life-changing experiences. Rooted in the belief that true well-being comes from blending science and spirituality, Dominique helps individuals understand their bodies, cultivate self-respect, and deepen connections with others. By focusing on self-love and holistic healing, she empowers her clients to unlock their fullest potential and experience the bliss of soulful, connected relationships. Enjoy the conversation. Maybe just one thing. If you enjoyed the episode, please give the like at the end or a comment and follow our channel. This way we can reach more audience, invite more interesting guests that talk about more interesting topics. Thank you very much and enjoy the episode. Welcome in the Awake Insights, Dominique.
Thanks for having me here. I'm looking forward to sharing a conversation today that will be awakening and empowering to your listeners.
I'm also looking a lot forward, or how do you say that, to this conversation, because it's a topic that I'm really interested in. I know something about it, but not that much about it. And I'm sure for the audience, it's the same. People know what Tantra is. Some are maybe experienced and others are not. So I think the goal of the conversation is to learn all the in and outs of Tantra, what it is, why it's beneficial, why everybody should do it, and so on. So to start off with, I'm actually curious what inspired you to become a Tantra coach.
Yeah, my inspiration came after I had what you would call a kundalini awakening with Tantra, where if you're familiar with chakras and energy centers, or my third eye chakra and my crown chakra popped open after an amazing experience with a lover that had studied Tantra and had mastered the Tantra techniques for men. And I was able to experience like prolonged states of ecstatic bliss that were very healing for me. It reminds me of the theme song by Marvin Gaye, I feel is my theme song of sexual healing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was 44 and I was already giving, tips for the bedroom as a recurring guest on Playboy Radio. And I thought I knew all there was to know. I'm a Scorpio. My friends were telling me, oh, you should write a book because things I would share with them would help. But I learned with Tantra that there's so much more pleasure that my body was able to experience more than just scratch the surface, like deep down into like healing levels of pleasure and bliss, which also helped open my heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So as a nurse, I was always fascinated with the heart. But, you got to think, I grew up in Texas. I'm born in 1968. So the thinking then is if you want to help people, you're going to be a nurse or a doctor, those traditional ways. And so then with Tantra, I realized, these are the tools that open people's hearts, because I had been guarded from childhood traumas and past wounds so much and locked down. And just when I opened up, my whole world opened up. So I was just like, all right, this is how I really want to help people on a much deeper level than through, Western medicine, because sometimes there's things with that aren't serving us to our best.
Totally. Can you explain maybe for the people that don't really know what Tantra is, what it actually is?
Yeah, Tantra is ancient wisdom from over 5,000 years ago lineage from India. There's also lineages within the Buddhist monks. It's also similar to Taoist practices from China, and the emperors would use these practices well for their own empowerment. And Tantra is not even about what goes on in the bedroom. The goal of it is to have an awakening, to expand your consciousness. So you think of like a Buddhist monk meditating on the side of a mountain for hours. They're really trying to get to those elevated states of consciousness. And if we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and at the very top of the pyramid is self-actualization,
Yep.
that's what Tantra helps through tools with white Tantra practices like breath work, meditation, mantras, chanting, mandalas, so many things like that. And mudras, how you hold your hands, all of these things so that you get to these elevated states of consciousness and let all the other thing programming and all the things that have been holding you back fall away. The thing that helps you be better in the bedroom is the fact that when you can be this deeply present with yourself, and when all of the other things that aren't you have fallen away, and you can fully show up and also have a deeper presence. Because when you know how to deeply connect and deeply meditate and stay in those states for a prolonged period of time, when you're with another person, you're able to connect to them on an energetic level. You're able to be more present and actually have a lovemaking experience where you're making love to their soul instead of this superficial things that we've learned by like skin to skin, ego to ego, like such an in-depth experience. Yeah.
Okay. Is Tantra something you can just start with, or do you think or believe that you already should be on a kind of conscious journey before you start doing Tantra? Because if you're explaining what Tantra is, it reminds me a lot of meditation, because also there you you try to stay in the present moment, and the aim in a certain way is also to go in that stage of self-actualization. So the more that you do meditation, the more you get experienced, the more you
Yeah.
go to these kind of levels, I would say.
Such a great question. There's different types of Tantra. There are white Tantra practices, pink Tantra practices, red, and black is like a neo form of Tantra. But white Tantra practices focus on meditation, is a white Tantra practice. That's something that they did 5,000 years ago to have this expanded consciousness. So you're completely correct in that. And so I wasn't even meditating. I wasn't doing these practices when I had this experience. So you don't necessarily already have to be doing this. It helps. Like meditation is the first step whenever you start. And when I work with my clients, meditation is one of the first steps I start them on. So you don't have to already be doing that, but it is part of the path for sure of learning and mastering Tantra.
Yeah, because if I look at myself, for me, it was a kind of an evolution. Like I knew what Tantra was. Well, in the beginning, I didn't know what Tantra really was. Actually, it was on my spiritual journey actually that I discovered Tantra, and that I understood that it was around sexual energy and experiencing sex in a different way. But still, I was not very attracted to it, and I didn't understand it completely what it actually was. And I believe that many people also that are listening, they know that it's about sexual energy, but I hear also a lot when you practice Tantra, it's about sexual energy and channeling it, but it is not about getting orgasms and having sex with all kind of people and all these kind of things. So I think maybe it's good to explain a little bit how important the energy is in when practicing Tantra, and what the real purpose is of playing with that energy and how that really works. Since the launch of this podcast, I haven't really introduced the True Impact Club yet. Are you looking to expand your network with other well-being entrepreneurs? Or you want to gain valuable insights into industry trends, business strategies, or sales and marketing? Or maybe you're looking for potential collaborations to grow together with like-minded entrepreneurs. If so, the True Impact Club might be perfect for you. It's a community where we meet bi-weekly to share our stories and journeys. Are you interested in joining? Just visit trueimpactclub.com to find all resources you need to become a member of the community. Thank you, and let's continue the conversation.
Well, with that, when you think about our society, just across the world, not just locally where we live, but worldwide, especially in the US, even more, there's so much with suppressing that energy because we have been taught to have shame over this, and if you look at the chakras and the energy centers that are in our bodies, and it's not something that you can visibly see, but now, and with modern technology, they've injected isotopes and seen on scans that where the ancient mystics felt these energy centers were, that there actually is some energy moving in those spaces. But with your sacral chakra, which is a little bit, below your belly button, and it's connected to your reproductive organs, that sacral energy is also connected with your sexual energy. And your sexual energy, it is also your chi energy, your life force energy, vitality. I want you to think about this energy literally brought you into existence. This is creation energy. You don't have to just use it for the bedroom. You can use this to create things in your life. You can use it to create the life that you want to have. You can use it to be more successful in your business. If you look at the book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, chapter 11 is titled The Mystery of Sex. And he talks about sexual transmutation and how the most successful people of the time did that. It's even believed that Nikola Tesla did these practices. And I know he did spend some time in India, Steve Jobs, Thomas Edison, knowing how to harness and to build that energy up and direct it towards your mission, your purpose, your passion, like infusing it. So often though, we shut that energy down because we're told that it's wrong or bad, or we don't know like healthy ways of channeling that energy. Maybe we're like kind of leaking it or directing it in ways that are crossing other people's boundaries. It's a really powerful energy. So it's important that we have a self-awareness about that. And so whenever we're able to use that energy and focus it in, then we can create so much in our lives. So to circle back, when you think, I want to make a change in my life, like I would love to be a new person, I'm tired of how I'm existing right now, I would love to hit a reset button on my life and let's like start anew with the newest, best version of myself. Would it not make sense to go back into the very energy and connect to the energy that really brought you into life? And it's so wild that in our society, in our world, that we have shame around this energy. But again, this energy brought us into life. It brought us into existence. There should be no shame in such creation. It's very empowering. And then if we look at women who are taught like, good girls don't do this, or wifey material is not like this, and you need to behave like this. So women will disconnect from that power center, or they'll disconnect from because they don't want unwanted attention from males, or to be targeted, or have someone violate them or something because that person's not honoring boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So we'll shut that down. But when we shut that down, we're literally disconnecting from our life force energy.
Yeah.
And so when I worked as a nurse, I could see a lot of times when I would take care of patients and they would have diagnoses of like cancer and other things, I could see that their energy was just shut down. You could just sense that they were so repressed. Some older women that would have reproductive challenges, you could just sense that they were not even connecting to that aspect of themselves or allowing themselves to have pleasure. And pleasure is medicine. But if we think that us having pleasure is about our husband or our wifely duty, or then when our husband has passed away, we don't continue, or we're divorced, we don't do that anymore, then we're disconnecting from that energy from ourselves. It's our vitality.
Yeah.
Right. And so then we end up having disease, dis-ease in our bodies because our energy is stuck and stagnant. I want you to think, just quick analogy. Think of a river, a body of water, right? When a river is flowing, it's like very healthy. But when the water is stagnant, all of the debris, the scum can get the moss, the critters, like it, and then it's not healthy to drink. The stagnant water, that's where disease can start to grow because it's stagnant.
Yeah.
Same thing with our life force energy in our body. We need to keep it flowing.
Yeah, exactly. Things need to flow, and that's with many things in life. Certainly, you need to have some momentum. Things have to go, and also by taking decisions in your life. People think sometimes too much or too much in their head, wanting to take decisions, take no decisions, they lose time. And sometimes it's better to take a step, take action, do something, go in the flow, and then you will see that everything comes all right. It's maybe a little bit off topic, but it reminded me of that actually.
Yeah. And when we can do this also, Tantra helps you with your five senses to get out of our heads because we're such an overthinking world where our value is from the neck up. How many things can we remember or recite? This is how we're programmed as children. How many facts can we remember? What is our grade scores? What was our SAT? What is our GPA? What is our career? How much is our income?
Yeah.
That's all of it is about, from here up. And so we disconnect from the wisdom in our body. So Tantra helps you through your five senses to drop in and connect to your body and to that wisdom of your body and to that energy and really fuel like passion for your life or what you're desiring in your life.
Yeah.
So it's important so that we don't stay stuck.
Totally. Yeah. And this energy is also so strong. I think we talked about it last time as well. I have this feeling that the sexual energy is like one of the strongest energy that we have in our body. And that's why we don't know how to, or we never learned how to handle it, what to do with that. And you say like, yeah, one time you can suppress it and another time you can learn how to channel it and make it beneficial, use it in a beneficial way in your life. But most people suppress it and the energy doesn't go away. The energy stays there. The energy is stuck. And then all kind of things happen. Things we see in the news, things we hear from our neighborhood, things we hear from people, all these kind of things. So it's really a big thing in my opinion. So for people that want to learn how to go with that energy, what to do with that energy, do you have some practical, easy tips, maybe where to start?
I do. So one of the things is the energy. I want you to think too, if our energy is stuck, think also where we're stuck in our lives. Like you're probably stuck somewhere in your life because our outer world is just a reflection of our inner world. We want to change things outside of us. We've been taught to think, oh, if I buy a fancy house, if I make this much money, I drive a nice car, have the trophy wife, XYZ, everything's going to be great. So we focus on these outer things and we neglect our inner world. And then we realize that we're not as happy, even if Jim Carrey will say, I wish people would know if they had $1 million, that's not going to be the thing that makes them happy. It's cultivating the inner world. And when you work on things on the inside, it's an inside out game. So when you work on your inner world, that's when you shift the things on the outer world and you create massive change, right? So a lot of things is just initially starting with a meditation practice is really powerful. Even if you just meditate for 10 minutes a day, that's very, very, so helpful. You can listen to guided meditations on YouTube. I have a meditation on my YouTube as well. And then doing the breath of fire. And I have a video, we can share the link here for your listeners I have a video where I'm sharing how to do breath of fire. And what that breath work does is it helps us to open up this circuit inside of our body where the chakras, where the energy is flowing. So, keeping it from being stagnant. And also it gives you more energy. It will help you to overcome challenges. I've had people that have wanted to quit like smoking and they found that extra resilience to be able to do that by doing the breath of fire. It gives you that extra, extra energy to really go for what your goals are. And so doing that is a really great practice because I want you to think of your energy centers and the chakras. And I'll show, I have a quick diagram here behind me of those on my wall for the people that are viewing this of the chakra system and the energy centers. And I want you to think of like a Christmas tree lights. And when one light bulb is out, the other ones may not work or it's stealing power from the other ones. And so it's not flowing as fluidly. And breath work is one of the things that can help with the chakras. So those are some of the things that you can do to start to begin to do that. And even notice how you're eating your food. If you're eating a lot of processed foods that are really hard for your body to digest and take a lot of energy, but don't have a lot of nutritional value, it takes a lot of energy for us to break down and digest our food. So we need to be sure that when we're spending the energy out to digest it and break it down, that is also putting equal or more energy back into us. Otherwise, we're depleting ourselves.
Mm.
That's why sometimes if we're eating things that are really unhealthy, we can feel sluggish afterwards and, have a food coma and need to take a nap. So knowing if we're taking in things too that are, not everyone does great on a vegetarian diet. It depends on your DNA. And if you have the things within your stomach to break down some of the things, if you're on a strict vegetarian diet, I've studied a lot of functional genomics, but eating things that are more vegetables and more fruits that take the energy from the sun, you're literally eating an energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then just be sure that your food sources are clean, your water sources are clean, because we need to nourish our bodies.
Yeah. 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 I recognize these tools and these different modalities. You can use them in a lot of aspects in your life, I think. Also, stress and burnout and all these kind of things come up into me where these tools are very beneficial. But I want to go a little bit back to the Tantra side, actually, for people to understand better actually what it is. Also, you hear a lot of that, Tantra retreats, Tantra festivals, all these kind of things. And I think I'm actually curious, what are the things that are happening there? Should I go there myself? Should I go there with my partner? Do I need a partner to go there? So these are all questions that I have, and probably the audience also have, and then I'm curious about.
Yeah, whenever you go, you'll have to check with certain retreats. Certain retreats may be couples only, so it'll just depend on the person hosting it. But a lot of times the workshops or different things are for singles and for couples. And at the festivals, the ones that I've gone and been a healer at different, the local Tantra festival here in Austin that happens every fall. With that, couples and singles go to that as well. So there's a diverse mix of people there. One of the things too that I want to talk about with Tantra practices is one is working with our heart chakra, and that is pink Tantra. The heart chakra, we're working with self-love. And a lot of us have a closed off heart chakra because of either childhood wounding or wounds or hurts from past relationships. So we're armored up and we kind of have this heart wall and we're locking things down. And whenever we think of the chakras, you have 7 chakras. There's more kind of going around your body in your aura, but within your body, there's 7 main chakras. So the heart is here and there's 3 above. There's the throat, the third eye, the crown. And then below the heart, you have right below kind of like where a woman's bra strap would be solar plexus. Then a little below your belly button would be your sacral chakra. And then at the base of your spine, your tailbone is your root chakra. Your root chakra has to do with safety, family, tribe, security, money. So even just think back into 2020 when everyone got so focused and was so in such fear, everyone was really focusing on toilet paper, which is like
True.
where your root chakra
Not me.
is located. But a lot of people were, right?
Yeah.
And so the heart chakra, why I share this is your heart chakra is the connecting point from your upper and your lower chakras. And it is the connecting point for you and the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us have a block here and it's keeping the energy from fully flowing through this channel. And it's keeping us from connecting from the world outside. Before Tantra, I was very guarded. I had some childhood wounds and traumas. And so I was really guarded. And I thought that those walls that I had put up were a form of protection.
Yeah.
And that's how I justified it. But a lot of times those walls are blocking more things than they're protecting us from.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to have walls and block up. We just need to have healthy boundaries, which is something that I go over when I work with clients. We need to have those healthy boundaries, but we don't need to be so walled and guarded. So with self-love and learning how to have a beautiful relationship with yourself, that's the basis for Tantra. Because so many people think, oh, I need to have a lover. I need to have a partner to begin. It starts with you. Hank, you are your longest lasting relationship from your first breath to your last. So you need to have a very loving relationship with yourself. And our relationships with others are just reflecting back to us. They're a mirror reflecting back the relationship we have within ourselves. So if we want to if we're in a current relationship, we want that relationship to improve, not to say we need to put all the responsibility just on one person, But if we start to heal the relationship within ourselves, we will show up differently in that relationship, and that will create a ripple effect.
Yeah.
If we're single and we want to attract better partners, like attracts like. So when we start to love ourselves, instead of seeking someone to fill the void because we don't love ourselves, which how most people operate. Oh, I'm broken up. I need to jump into another relationship and have someone validate me and give me attention and tell me they love me, because we're not willing to do that for ourselves, right? So when we start to do that, we attract healthier relationships, because we're going to attract someone that is at that level and that vibration of where we are. And our chakras help us raise our vibration, our aura field, and our energy. So when we move into a room and in spaces, we can shift that energy of the room and not be so negatively impacted by the stressors in the world around us.
Yeah. Yeah. So what exactly happens then on a festival or a retreat? Hey, just a quick note from our sponsor, True Impact Agency. If you want to set up marketing funnels, create landing pages, or start advertising campaigns, they have years of experience offering these kind of marketing services. You can just get in touch with them through the website, through impactagency.com, and there's also a free ebook for you to download, where you can learn how to turn quality leads into paying customers. Thank you very much, and let's continue the episode.
I know here at the Austin Tantra Festival that what they do for that one is there's just different events all through the day. It's like over 3 or possibly 4 days. And they'll have different rooms and they'll have different speakers like speaking, guiding you through practices and exercises where you can, invite someone to do it with you. Some things will be something that you do alone.
Yeah.
There'll be lecture series. There's healing stations too, or where you can get something to help with the kundalini awakening, having body massage, and that's not anything. I think sometimes people think that there's inappropriate things happening there. It's like, no, like you're not going to be having those activities there. I think some people just think Tantra, they equate it to just a bunch of wild rendezvous happening everywhere. People are more free spirited and not as like rigid and closed down there, but it's always about consent. And it's always about,
Well, I don't hear any sexual anymore into this. And a lot of people think that Tantra, it's all about sex, but more in a conscious way.
Yes.
So when I hear you explaining this, it doesn't sound sexual to me in any way.
Yeah, it enhances that. It makes that better because we're connecting and we're more open and we're understanding our energy. And that can definitely be a part of things, but it's not going to be something you're going to be participating in at a festival. That's not something when I teach my clients and I do as my clients. But then when they go and do the practices and they want to add those things in with a lover, then they can have much better experiences in the bedroom. I've helped my clients that have had challenges having orgasms, women that were not able to have orgasms with their partner, to be able to experience that or to become multi-orgasmic, males that they've had ED or PE or addiction to adult videos. I've helped them as well, so that they're able to last longer, have stronger erections through doing a lot of these practices that help you within the energy and the life force energy of your body. So and also strengthening the muscles to the pelvic floor, getting more blood flow to our sex organs. And so we're not having those blocks that we have, because a lot of things are our blocked energy. Yeah. So they do have really incredible experience. I have one client that he wasn't able to even make love to his wife, and they've been married for over 30 years, and he was in his 60s and Viagra was failing him. And now he's having better lovemaking with his wife in his 60s and even when they were in their 30s.
Wow.
And he's able to make love to her for over an hour. She has 6 to 8 orgasms at a time. And also a lot of deep healing through that process too. A familial wound where he thought his mother never loved him. He was able to finally grieve the loss of his mother. He said, you helped me become now I'm a better person to myself and a better partner to my wife.
Amazing.
So,
yeah. In your practices, you talk about soulgasm, something like that?
Soulgasm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I felt like I experienced with my tantric lover. I didn't know how else to describe it, but it was something, a level of pleasure and bliss that rocked me to the core of my being.
Mm-hmm.
It was not just a superficial thing. It was so intense, life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so interesting because about a year later, after I was already saying that that's how it felt to me as the best way I could describe it, I was reading a book by Osho, and Osho brought Tantra to the West from India. And he has several really amazing books. There's some controversial things about him, but just know we all are human, having a human experience. So we all can have our flaws. We can all make our own mistakes, but there's also a lot of wisdom that he shared. So, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, take out the good things that you can take from people. And so within his books, I have several of his books, and in one of his books, he talks about soulgasms. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly how he described it. And I was like, oh, okay, of course, that makes sense. But that was just something I thought I made up on my own from my experience. But no, that's like a real thing. But knowing how to have something that really impacts you to your deepest essence of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now, for experiencing and practicing tantra, I think there is like one keyword. It's intimacy. Is that important? Is that
Yes.
important? And for someone that want to learn more about tantra, is it important actually that they um, that they are open to be intimate with other people, also even people that they don't know? Because I hear you say that you don't need to be in a relationship or go with a partner to a tantra event or practicing tantra. So what can you say about the intimacy, or the level of intimacy that you need to have actually to start doing tantra?
Yeah. Intimacy initially with yourself. There's been times that I've actually been celibate since I learned Tantra, and I've been celibate for years, years at a time. And I just take time to be in a very intentional relationship with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and doing solo Tantra practices during that time. So you don't always need to have a lover. When you become your own best lover, one, you'll attract better lovers as well. But intimacy is into me you see. And I want you to think about how many times can we be in bed with someone and we can be completely nude and have, already been doing all the wild things and maybe a bunch of wild positions. And then if someone wants to look us in the eyes, oh my gosh, don't look at me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it can feel um, very edgy for some people,
Yeah.
right? But the eyes are the windows to the soul. So eye gazing is a tantra practice.
Yeah.
So something that you can do as a solo practice is kind of be in a meditative state and just stare at a candle flame and see how long you can hold the gaze with the flame and just hold that gaze. But being able to do that with a lover or even a friend, if you're just sitting there fully clothed and across from them, looking into their left eye, because that's the receptive side,
Mm.
and just breathing in and gaze into their left eye and just take deep breaths in and really fully see that person and allow yourself to be seen. We've been taught so much in our world to wear a mask and to present ourselves as one way and not really be our true selves.
Mm-hmm.
But to experience Tantra on the deepest level, it does take us to be able to surrender,
Mm.
to let go of the need to control everything, to be able to drop our masks and to fully see someone and fully be seen. And then when we can make love to someone in those spaces, when we can have friendship with someone where we can authentically be ourselves and allow people to be fully themselves, things just shift so much. Like, it enhances our relationships.
Yeah.
And with love making, whenever you can have that intimacy and you can not be guarded through, again, the blocked heart chakra, and you can be vulnerable and open, then you can experience
Yeah.
something much deeper than what we usually allow ourselves to experience. We've
Mm.
been limiting ourselves in these areas of our lives. Another thing I will add is I've worked with people that have been on healing journeys, growth mindset journeys for a long time. and worked with several different coaches in other areas of life, business, life coaching. And I'm also a trauma informed master coach.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, they'll share with me, I had no idea how much I needed to do this piece
Mm-hmm.
within their sexuality and their pleasure with Tantra. And they said, once I unlocked this, everything's unlocked for me.
Yeah.
So it's the cave. There's an old saying, the cave we fear to enter is the one that holds the most treasure.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's an accident that we're taught by higher powers, authorities, to have shame around our bodies and our pleasure. Again, Taoist practices are very similar to Tantra, and this was used in China by the emperors. And in China, they would not share these practices with the common people because they realized this was such a source of power for them.
Yeah.
This was their empowerment. It's easier to control a population of people when they're disempowered.
Yeah.
So the common people didn't know that. Just like now, I will have so many people reach out to me that are from India that want to learn Tantra and have no idea because a lot of this wisdom was kept hidden away. You had to go see a certain guru
Yeah.
or be with someone, and this was not given to everyone because it can unlock so much within you, and you can be such a powerful force, and it's harder to be controlled or to be manipulated.
Yeah.
And, the way the world works is if you're controlling a bunch of people, it's a lot easier for government, those
Totally.
in power, if we're disempowered. So
Yeah.
then, okay, let's have access online to adult videos. Let's have us do things that are disempowering,
Yeah.
and let's have us be really superficial in the way we do this and have a lot of shame about it. Because again, shame, if you looked at the emotional frequency scale, it's like an upside down triangle. The lowest point on that scale is shame, and it
Yeah.
vibrates. The frequency is 20 hertz. It's even lower than fear and hate and anger.
Mm.
And the love is around 400 and joy is around 500 hertz. So when you can get in those higher states of energetic frequency,
Yeah.
um, then you're able to be more empowered and have a different experience. And the energy of making money is somewhere, I think, between 250 and 380 hertz.
Yeah.
But if we're a society living in shame at 20 hertz,
Yeah.
what do you think is happening to us?
Yeah. Yeah. Super
Yeah.
interesting to think about. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And if you talk about if you are someone that have already done a lot of things actually to open up the heart, to become more conscious, to heal your traumas, suppressed emotions, things like that, and then there is that level of practicing tantra, working with that sexual energy. What does that mean? Does that mean that in the meantime that was still there, that was stuck, or why? Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, it's like if you choose not to practice tantra because you don't know anything about it and you just are on your growth journey, you hear your traumas and all these kind of things. What happens with that specific energy? Because I always thought that tantra was about sexual energy and only that actually, but I hear there's a lot of things
No,
to work on. Yeah,
it's about raising your consciousness, elevating your consciousness, raising your vibration, again, like the emotional frequency scale, getting to where you're really tapped in with your third eye, your crown chakra, where you're, into your wisdom, you're fully empowered and fully online energetically, and also improving your vitality and helping to increase your longevity. And those are the practices that you do. Now, a lot of people can be on this amazing journey of growth and healing, and they may feel very comfortable with their sexuality, and they may be naturally having some of these experiences. Like the first person I was with, I didn't even know the first few times we were together that he had studied this, and he had actually dated a tantra coach,
mm,
and he'd been doing these practices for over a year. I had no idea. And he shared with me when he explained to me why our experience was so different than any other experience I had had in the bedroom. He said, "You're naturally tantra without even knowing what it is. That's just naturally how I would make love, but I never had been with anyone that could match me on that
Yeah.
and could really take it to a level that he was able to go there with me.
Mm.
Because a lot of times I even have an old lover and we're friends and he still teases me because I would always tell him when we were in bed, I'd be like, just give me one more minute, just one more minute. Because I wanted more time.
Yeah.
And so this other person, I could sense that no matter how much pleasure I was having and being multi-orgasmic and
Yeah.
continuing to ride the waves of pleasure, I was just looking at his body and I could tell that he was unshakable.
Mm.
Like my pleasure was not going to push him to the point of no return.
Yeah.
So a lot of times for me, and I'm very intuitive, I would look at my lovers and I could tell as I was ramping up in pleasure that I was almost going to push them to the point of like game over where we weren't going to be able to continue. And I didn't want that. So almost like the horse, I had to pull those reins in and be like, hold on, hold your pleasure back, pace it so that he's able to keep up with where you want to go.
Yeah.
And with this person, I was like, wow, he's unshakable. I get to really play full out here.
Mm.
So I knew, but I never had anyone that can match it.
Okay.
So then I had this experience where you just continue to the pleasure just spiraling up, 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 up. And that's when the kundalini energy is with your chakras at the base of your spine.
Mm.
The symbolism for it is almost like in a medical staff, a caduceus, but like snakes or serpents going up, the energy, kundalini energy. And that's what happened because I was able to stay in pleasure for so long.
Yeah.
My pleasure and with my breathing and everything, it just continued to go up through. And that's when my third eye chakra and my crown chakra opened.
Mm.
And if I wasn't with anyone that could take me there,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible.
No.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm becoming to understand a little bit more. It's more like a part of an holistic approach. That's how I actually see it. And if I think about it, it's a lot about relaxation, feeling comfortable with the person that you're with, actually, if you go in these kind of experiences, because, and specifically for men around sex, you talk about shame, but at the same time, there's a lot of pressure. The man thinks they need to perform. The man, don't want to be seen as being not good in bed. There's always this kind of pressure. And I think as long as that pressure is there, that this energy cannot flow in a natural way.
You're so perceptive. I love that you shared that. And that's why I love supporting and working with men. And I'll tell women, I'll take being a woman over a man any day.
Mm-hmm.
The women will complain like, oh, I have to have my periods and, pregnancy and this and that. And there are challenges that women have. I'm not saying there's not, but I would much rather have the challenges of a woman than a man. One, I don't have to worry about my size. I don't have to worry about, am I ready to go? I can use some lube and I can fake it till I make it and continue to go. I always encourage women to be aroused and be turned on, but I'm not waiting for an erection to be able to get the party started. It's not how long do I last. If I'm orgasming quickly, I'm just winning. If I have a baby, I know that it's mine. There's just a lot of things. There's a lot of pressure on men. So I always, when I work with women too, I remind them of the pressures that men are under.
Yeah.
So pressure adds again to circle back, Hank, to what you said, that the pressure, it creates the tension in your body.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Tantra helps you with. The more tension a man will hold in his body, the faster he will climax.
Yeah.
The more tension a woman will hold in her body, the longer it will take her to climax. So the 3 tenets of Tantra are breath, sound, and movement. So breathing deeply, breathing that pleasure all through your body also, and then tensing up and holding your breath so you keep the energy stuck, like letting the pleasure fully flow through you. And then sound is like a thief and it steals the tension from your body.
Yeah.
Even if you just, right now, if you just took in a deep breath in, everyone's here listening, just taking a deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then sigh it out with sound, go, ha, and just let it out.
Fast. Okay.
And see how much you kind of relax into your body. So that's where sound is so beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So how does it work for you if someone wants to work with you, you're coaching clients specifically on Tantra. So, what kind of people come to you? What kind of questions do they have? And how do you start working with them?
Yeah, I work with clients globally through Zoom. Like over 99% of my clients I've worked with online because my business really took off during 2020. Before that, I was coaching part-time while working as a nurse. I was on the front lines for the first 9 months. And then I went all in on my coaching business and left almost in a week. Will be 4 years since I left working as a nurse at the bedside
Mm-hmm.
and all in on my business. So at that time when my business started, it was all online because we were just online.
Yeah.
So a lot of the incredible results my clients have had is online. So you don't have to work with me in person. And only the people that are in like my VIP programs or have worked with me for a while, then they can do something in person.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we work together, I work with couples or singles. I've worked with couples that maybe their partner was too shy to work with me, just like the man who was in his 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But then whenever things started to change for him, he shared with me, he was like, "Oh, on Monday, I made love to my wife again for an hour. She had 6 to 8 orgasms." He goes, "I was ready to go again the next day." He goes, "I feel so much power in my penis. I wish I discovered this 15 years ago."
Mm-hmm.
His wife was joking with him and said, "I think now I need to work with her so I can keep up with you." But she was shy to work with me, but she was supportive of him and trusted him to work with me. So when I coach clients, it's just like a conversation like we're having now. And then I'll give tips and hear what the challenges are, see what blocks. They can also have a mother wound, a blockage in your heart chakra, your energy, things like that.
Yeah.
So working with just one person. And then I also worked with a woman that her husband didn't know she was working with me. And she was very much in her masculine energy and kind of dominating the relationship. And when I had her change her energy and shift things, her husband started showing up in the relationship differently and their passion was ignited again, which was really beautiful.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I work with people one-to-one and also have group programs and a mastermind that I'm launching in October, to help people. And this is going to be co-ed with both men and women.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Tantra and a lot of other energetic practices to help with vitality. So.
Okay, great. Have you faced some challenges yourself actually by building this business? Like depending on the clients that you have in front of you, the questions that they ask, the situations that they are in. Can you share a little bit about your challenges?
Like my challenges within coaching them?
Yes.
That's such a good question. I think the challenge can be sometimes initially as a coach to realize that, I will share the tools. It's more like coaching. You got to think of again. I gave this analogy recently of a football coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not out there playing the game with you. I'm just telling you the moves and the plays you should try when you go to make your plays and do your things, right? I'm telling you what works and what will not work. The challenge can be sometimes people resist things. I have a client that I've worked with for a couple of years. He's had incredible breakthroughs. A lot of my clients will also start earning more money. I can't make income claims, but
Yeah.
last year he did earn $400,000. When I first started working with him, he could barely afford to work with me, and he was doing Uber driving for extra money.
Mm.
No Uber Eats or something like that.
That's a
And
big change.
yeah, so with him, one of the things he'll still resist sometimes is the meditation practice. And so he still gets stressed out sometimes, or still something will happen for him. And I'm just like, you're saying you're frustrated in these things, but you're not meditating. Like I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. But when I first coached, I would take all the ownership of them. Like it's my responsibility to make them get results.
Yeah.
I am giving you the tools. It's up to you to apply them. And I'm not going to hold you in your victim or say that it's all about me. Like even my bio, I want to change that because yes, I'm a healer because I help people heal themselves, but I'm not healing you.
No.
I'm just giving you the recommendations and the tools.
Yeah.
Only you can decide to utilize them and put them into place. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is what I've noticed has been a challenge is because I did set up my business online because of what was happening in 2020. I just got used to being in that rhythm of that's how I was doing things. And I realize that now that the world's opened up, like I need to do things more like in-person events or more workshops and things like that locally and participate more in real time because I think people are tired of like online classroom stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's just a challenge when people want to stay in a victim mindset and they don't want to take responsibility for their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just not here to listen to you be in your victim. There's a space for that. I'll listen to what your challenge is, but also like, what are the solutions? What are the actions that we can take? Or what can you do to work through those challenging emotions?
Yeah.
Release those emotions. Is that helpful, or were you wanting something a little deeper?
No, yeah, it's pretty helpful. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also just wondering if people really come to you with the first question like, hey, I want to learn more about Tantra. Can you help me with that? And can you coach me and maybe to resolve some issues in my relationship or with myself? Or do you have people that come for other reasons to you and then you transition along the way actually more into Tantra practices?
That's great. And that actually reminds me of something else too,
Mm-hmm.
to your first question. I think the biggest challenge for me is also a challenge because I say everything's a mirror, right? That I've had with myself is that I delayed my journey with Tantra by a solid decade. I had bought a book a decade before on Tantra, but I didn't open the book and read it because I was like, oh, when I meet the right lover who's also interested, then we can do this together.
Mm-hmm.
If I had looked at the book, I would have seen there are a lot of solo practices and it started with me.
Mm.
So that delayed my journey. And so many people will say, oh, when I want to work with you, but I'm single right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, if you would start working with me sooner, one, it's going to help you to attract a better lover because you're going to be a better person. We like attracts like, right? And especially for men, like if men are wanting to last longer, part of that was with neuroplasticity and creating new, longer pleasure pathways in your brain because your brain is your largest sex organ, right? So with that is when I'm trying to teach you through solo practices that you're going to do with yourself to last longer, have a different relationship to pleasure, to sensation in your body, then you go back with your lover. If you're in a relationship and you're doing the practices a few days a week, but then you're also being with your lover once or twice a week, that's going to almost go back into your regular pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it can actually take longer. So I'm just like, it's actually going to be easier for you to learn this if you are single. And then you add your lover in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one big thing. And then a lot of people will come to me because they want to be better in bed. I mean, who doesn't want to be a best lover?
Mm-hmm.
And big thing is I actually attract a lot of people pleasers, and I'm a recovering people pleaser
Yeah.
because it took me a while to realize this, but I realized one day, a light bulb moment a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, holy crap. The reason I'm a Tantra coach is because I'm a people pleaser and I wanted to be good in bed. That's how I became a sexpert because I was learning all the things to people please. So again, I attract people pleasers. And so just helping people to understand also how much you are able to receive pleasure is also connected to how much you can receive abundance, receive prosperity in your life, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if we're pushing away receiving pleasure, right? And we just make it about how much pleasure can I give you, but I'm not going to allow myself to receive it, right? Because I'm in control, I have a fear, whatever it is. Notice where else in life does that show up? Do you have a challenge receiving compliments? Do you have a challenge receiving help? And even growing my business, I slowed down growing my business because I had a challenge getting a team and assistance the way I need to and I'm bottlenecking my business because it's like, no one's going to care about it as much as me. And I'm perfectionist, right? I've got to do it my way, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't receive support and receive help, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself in your life. So again, the more we can receive self-love, the more we can receive love, the more we can receive pleasure, the more we receive other good things from the universe. And that's how we can manifest. And one of the things with Tantra is sex magic, which I teach my clients in my orgasmic manifestation method, is how whenever we're in these higher states of bliss and a higher vibration of being blissed out, and then we're working with law of attraction as well,
Yeah.
we can magnetize things to us much more quickly. It helps us with our magnetism, our manifestations, everything.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah. This morning, I was also watching another podcast, and they were talking about the force of the sexual energy that is playing in everybody's body, I would say. But what I'm not understanding, and I think we didn't tap on that in this conversation, is what is the difference for a man and a woman in this? Because we hear a lot about men and how sexual energy is the driver of chasing woman all the time, which brings a huge pressure. But how is that for women? But women are not like that. So, but how does that sexual energy play if you never learned how to get along with that?
For women, sometimes we can be very much like before Tantra, I was very much on my masculine energy. I was in an unhealthy masculine now. We're all a combination of masculine and feminine energy, and Tantra helps you to balance this out more. It's part of our duality, the yin and the yang. So, and males are even more of a balance of masculine and feminine energy because you're XY chromosome. So, whenever we don't have these energetics balanced, what will happen in relationship, I want you to think of, imagine a battery, and one side of the battery is a positive charge and one side is a negative charge. Not to say one of these energies is positive or negative, but just for an example. So if you need that positive and negative, that opposite, again, opposites attract, you need that opposition to create the spark, the energy in the battery. Same thing in your relationship with your passion. So if a woman is, when I have clients that are lawyers, high power executives, CEOs, physicians, and they're very much in there having to be, because our world is made up, and a lot of these careers initially were structured by men. They were men only professions. So when women step into those roles to be taken seriously, they have to lead when they're masculine.
Yeah.
It can be a real challenge when they come home to their partner to switch to feminine because we're so used to being, the patriarchy. We live in a very masculine society.
Yeah.
So what will happen then is if you guys are not in a relationship, if you're not in opposite energies, you're going to start to feel more like roommates
Yeah.
instead of lovers, and the passion will dwindle and die. Or if the males, especially with toxins that we have in our environment that are lowering men's testosterone, and a lot of men also growing up, unfortunately, this is hard for men and women, is men growing up in a lot of homes with single moms.
Yeah.
And I've been a single mom. I'm not, single parents are amazing, but we also are not able to model to our children a healthy masculine energy dynamic.
Yeah.
And so, like, for myself, my mom, I noticed that when I was a little girl, with not having my dad around at a young age, I became the man of the house. If she needed something repaired, she needed something done, she would ask me to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And for men that grow up with single moms, they act more like little boys. They're kind of babied too much.
Yeah.
So then I've dated men that had single moms, and I noticed that they're not in their healthy masculine where they're comfortable with leadership. And I end up going into a mother role almost because, and that's not sexy either.
No.
Because, as women too, we're used to seeing, if we had little brothers, we don't know how to relate to men, right? The broken homes really create this weird dynamic so that we're just used to seeing our brothers be mothered.
Yeah.
And we start to do that. It's really crazy. So we want to have a healthy balance in our masculine and feminine energy and show up in that way. And so that then we can have that spark and have that desire and that turn on and that passion in our relationships. So there's that. But knowing how to, if you want to think, in even the Taoists believe that the reason on average the lifespan of females is longer than males is because men, you lose a lot of your life force energy through ejaculation. That's why I teach my male clients how to have non-ejaculatory orgasms so they can have full body orgasms and be energized by it instead of shooting all their energy out through their penis.
Okay.
Right. all that fluid, all the minerals, how many millions of lives could those fluids, body fluids have created? Now your body needs to go and restore and replenish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why men will quickly fall asleep afterwards, and women are more talkative or more energetic. Now, if a woman feels that when I'm with my lover, my partner, my spouse, I'm doing this as my womanly duty, like this is something that's a task for me,
Yeah.
she may fall asleep really quick because it's almost like she feels someone's taking something from her. She's not really fully participating in it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But women, we lose our life force energy through menstruation, pregnancy, and childbirth, but we actually get charged up by orgasmic energy. And that's what's really important. So it doesn't drain us when we can be multi orgasmic, and men need to have a different way that they do their pleasure
It feels
so
unfair.
that you're not draining your life force energy. Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
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 And you can circulate it within a couple. You can do something like if you see a body of chakras in two people, when you understand your energy and your chakras and you're doing your breath, you can intentionally, when you're with your partner and lover, something called a microcosmic orbit, but you can kind of let your energy, your sexual energy flow and circulate it through breath through your partner and them channeling it back to you. And you're making this loop, this
Yeah.
pleasure loop circuit,
Yeah.
and you're charging one another up.
Yeah.
And this is like sexual healing. It's really incredible, but we don't learn these practices that help to optimize our health, optimize our emotions.
Mm.
I used to have a lot of anger issues before Tantra, but Tantra is so healing. I want you to think of this too. When I became a trauma informed master coach, I went through all my trauma modules and I worked with some of the top coaches that had over 70 years experience. One of the things that they shared is that the one shocking thing is 95% of adults received inadequate parenting. And I put my children through things too. And we've done a lot of healing on that journey as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we continue to pass down these childhood wounds.
Yeah.
And we show up in relationships wounded, and then our relationships
Yeah.
have a lot of challenges, right?
True.
Second thing with that is the three things that heal trauma are breath, sound, and movement.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's how I started healing my childhood trauma through Tantra. Because the three tenets of Tantra for over 5,000 years before we had trauma therapists, XYZ, was breath, sound, and movement.
Yeah.
So it's so healing. And so for me, I'm just not someone who would want to go to talk therapy.
Yeah.
I'm also an older generation and I didn't want to be labeled as crazy. And I went through a ton of childhood trauma, alcoholism, fighting my mom, a gun from my mom's hands. And I could have been shot when I was in 6th grade, fighting, getting in the middle of her and her boyfriend, my mom being in a coma. Like I have been through it. I had a lot of like big, big traumas.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't really talk about it. I was a workaholic. I threw myself into work as like saving other people, being a nurse, right?
Yeah.
And with Tantra, that's what started working through this, because I just want to do talk therapy where I just felt like if I'm just going to talk about my problems all the time, I don't see how that helps me.
Yeah.
But these are the tools that really help you work through those emotions, get rid of that stagnant, stuck energy, and be your most vibrant self.
Yeah.
And that's how I started healing. So pleasure as a healing modality, I mean, sign me up. That sounds like a way more fun way to overcome my challenges and to be empowered.
Totally. Totally. Sounds very appealing. Yeah. It made me think about where, and maybe I asked it before, but maybe not so clearly, like where does Tantra really fit in a total healing journey? You talked about healing
Sure.
trauma. You
Yeah.
have so many modalities. You have,
I mean, Tantra is just about everything on
yeah.
it's a main core pillar, I believe, of a healing journey.
Mm.
You think about when I work with people and I work with root chakra, we work through things with fear, scarcity, also mother and father wound, inner child healing. And when we work through the sacral chakra, we're working with your life force energy. Your sacral chakra is connected to your creativity. It's your creation energy through your passion, through manifesting more. Then when we work on your solar plexus, it's about courage, having the energy to really show up, the willpower in our lives. Our heart chakra is about self-love, vulnerability,
Yeah.
being able to connect with other people in the world around us, connect with ourselves, and have more loving relationships and live from a place of love over fear. Your throat chakra is about speaking your truth and not holding your voice back, not overpowering others, having compassion in the way that you speak to yourself and others. Our third eye is about tapping into the intuition and the wisdom of our bodies so we're not fooled by everything around us and media that's trying to, you know,
Yeah.
not have us be in our full empowered self. The crown chakra, tapping into higher guidance system, energetically being lit up, raising your vibration, and having a healthy relationship with your emotions, and being able to respond to life instead of react, because
Mm.
our ability to respond is our responsibility.
Yeah.
And then through the three tenets of Tantra, breath, sound, and movement, to start to have healing from traumas and somatic. A lot of practices within Tantra are somatic nervous
Mm.
system regulation practices.
Totally.
These are from over 5,000 years ago, this ancient wisdom. And when I use it with my clients, make it modern and effective for your everyday use.
Yeah.
So we have that. And then knowing how to relate to others and have better relationships with your friends, with your lovers, with your family,
Mm.
and to stop feeling like we need everything around us to make us happy, and to be really complete within ourselves and know that we're whole and complete and worthy, and to shine our light.
Mm.
I don't know what other type of therapy is better than that. What else do you need in your life?
It sounds very complete. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love when people work and do other things. I love when people work with EMDR, have other modalities. I'm
Mm.
not saying there's not value in other things,
Mm.
but Tantra is very comprehensive. And there are a lot of people that are Tantra practitioners. And one of the things with me is I've been a nurse for over 30 years. I have a vast knowledge of the human body. I used to assist with surgeries. I could take the role of an assisting surgeon. I help with open heart surgeries, brain surgeries, robotic surgeries. And I am also a trauma informed master coach.
Yeah.
And I've gone deep into it and learned all kinds of somatic practices. So when I work with someone, again, it's still the holistic approach.
Yeah.
And how can we help people? One of my clients, I want to drop this in, I helped him with nervous system regulation.
Mm.
And his wife started desiring him more. I said, "How long has it been since your wife was interested and would approach you, for time in the bedroom?" He says, "It's been like decades." They
Mm.
were in their 60s.
Mm.
He had no idea that the stress he was under in his body, that stress and that tension was repelling his wife. But women are very intuitive when we can pick up on that. And
Yeah.
when he started to calm his anxiety and his nervous system, his wife started to desire him more.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. What advice would you give someone that's thinking about doing tantra or practicing tantra, but is still a little bit hesitant of doing it? What advice would you give someone to start?
Just to go slow with it. Like, don't push yourself too far. Part of trauma is too much too fast, but also don't hold yourself back and stay stuck where you are. So if you're really stuck and you're not experiencing what you want to experience, try to lean in a little bit. I encourage you to lean in and look to see someone that you trust, that is reputable, that you can work with as a practitioner, and be guided, because it's one thing to read a book. When we read books, books are great, but we hold the knowledge here.
Mm.
We don't drop it into our bodies. I want you to have a felt sense. I want you to embody it. I want it to be in your cells with the practices. So having someone that can guide you. And one of the things that I do have, it's a very comprehensive course. I call it Intro to Tantra, but it's just a 6-week online course to having mastery with Tantra. And if you're not sure if you would want to work with someone, or you might be shy to even work with me, you can go through those modules online in the comfort of your own home, and then decide from there, after you do those, what your next step would be.
Mm.
Because I put a lot of things inside there a lot of resources on everything from white, pink, and red Tantra. And it's very comprehensive. At first I was like, I'm just going to do a little intro to Tantra course. And then my assistant was like, oh my gosh, this is like wild. What all you put in there? It's not overwhelming, but it's very comprehensive. So just getting something to where you can actually be doing the practices, and you can do this, initially with yourself and then invite a lover in, or just anyone else that you trust, or someone recommends someone. Just find someone that you trust that resonates with you. It does not have to be me, but I invite you to do it because I had a curiosity a decade before. I wish I had taken action then, because my life would have started getting better sooner.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, if I could have gotten out of my own way a decade ago, I can only imagine where I would be now. But everything in its timing,
It's like
but
that.
also
Yeah.
don't delay yourself into experiencing what you desire to experience. What would it be like if you could live the life your heart desires and be fully empowered?
Yeah, let's hope that this episode is a trigger for this kind of people to take the step and to get in touch with you or someone else that is doing the same kind of work. Because, it's really super interesting. Is there a certain topic, something that we haven't discussed in this episode that maybe could be interesting to share?
A certain topic. I just want to remind you that you're more powerful than you realize you are. And there's so much buried treasure within you. And Tantra just helps you to find that buried treasure and bring that out and self-actualize. So, imagine if you could have a journey where you're actually enjoying yourself. Where this is actually a Tantra tip that you can try, which is really great. And one of my teachers, his name is Preston Smiles, and he calls this dance yourself clean. And dance is a great Tantra modality because it includes the three main things of breath, sound, and movement. So you're breathing more deeply when you're dancing. You're using sound, or you're listening to some sounds, right, that put you in a certain mood, and you're moving your body. So again, we talked about the river flowing. You're getting the energy. You're creating waves in your body when you're moving. And you want to dance literally like no one's watching.
Yeah.
It's not about your moves. It's not choreographed. Whatever emotion, like if you're having a stuck emotion, I want you to think about putting on some music. Like even if you're angry, put on something at first that makes you feel a little more angry. And then you can change the song that's something that's a little more uplifting. But just let that out and just feel into how does that energy where it feels stuck in your body, how does it want to move out of you? And just let it out. And then change that mood. So I also want you to think our ancestors and being in tribes, they would have drumming circles and they would do these things to move their bodies. And this was so healing for them.
Yeah.
But we've lost that in our modern world. Or if we go dancing, it's like going to a bar and drinking and putting all these toxins in our bodies and being around a lot of negative people sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So doing this is very cathartic. So again, just let that out. And another Tantra practice is called the Shiva Shake. And it's a nervous system regulation. And you can I like to do it to the song by Taylor Swift, Shake It Off. You just literally shake your body, shake your head, shake your hands, shake your booty, shake your feet, literally shake it off. If you just take a pause when you're feeling stressed and just shake.
Yeah.
Or just think about how animals do that in nature when they're about to be attacked. And if they escape, if you see on the like Animal Planet, you see them escape. If they escape being almost killed, they go off and they shake their bodies. Or a dog, you'll see, will do this. But in our world, we don't do that when we're scared or stressed, and we just hold that emotion in, and our bodies are holding that, and it's staying stuck in our cells. We need to shake off the things that are weighing us down, and we can have a better experience. Like just something like that is something you could do that's a Tantra technique within just a few minutes. So
Totally. I agree so much. And dancing is super beneficial. Yeah, that's a really great advice to end this conversation. Dominique, I really want to thank you. I think we learned a lot. We tapped on a lot of things around Tantra. I hope that the audience that is listening learned a lot more and is actually super interested in, like, try it one time. Reach out to you or to someone else, and to experience all the benefits of it. So thanks a lot for sharing all your wisdom and your knowledge about this. I really appreciate the work that you do, and yeah, and let's definitely stay in touch. And I'm curious also what is next for you. What are the things that you're up to after, or like after the program that you're having and all the coaching that you do? So yeah.
Yes. Well, just to share with everyone listening here, if you want to go to my website, which is yestantra.com, Tantra, I have a free Tantra quiz there, and you can go in there and check and see your readiness to Tantra, what intimacy blocks you might have, what emotional blocks you have. Definitely check that out. It's a free resource for you. And I'm having a masterclass on igniting passion coming up soon. I'm not sure when this is popping, but it's going to be happening in about 3 weeks. And then I have a vitality mastermind. And with vitality, it's all about your life force energy through toxins in our environment, a lot of energetic practices, tantra practices, so that you can take your power back and be empowered in your life and have more energy, more life force energy, and not feel so drained or feel stuck in your life if you want to move forward. So those are some things that I offer. You can find out more on my website and my programs or courses.
Yeah. We'll share the links here in the episode so that people can reach out to you. Definitely.
Sounds great. All right.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thanks, everyone. This is wonderful.
Yes. Thank
Thanks
you
for
as
spending
well.
time with me today.
Okay. See you. Bye bye.
Bye.